Hi, welcome to the Bold Body Mind podcast. My name is Rachel Andersen, and I want to welcome you here this morning or today or whatever time it is there with you. Welcome to the podcast. Today we're going to be talking about a healthy morning routine and how to overcome or improve your anxiety, depression, and how to set some goals for the future. I just put all that in there because I don't want you to just think, oh yes, morning routine, I've heard it all before. This is actually how you get free. This is a podcast on how you can actually get free from that pain that keeps plaguing you every day, ruining every day for you. All right? The first step is to realize that our minds are so powerful. When I first started hearing about this, I was a bit skeptical. I'd hear people say, people even use that Leo 2 quote that said, what's your thoughts become your words. What's your words become your actions. What's your actions become your habits. And what's your habits, they become your character. And your character becomes your life. So I heard that and I was like, yeah, okay, all right, it's new information. I'm listening. But as I dug deeper and I started to explore maybe, is there anything with the mind, can I improve my thoughts, my thought life? Then I also found two proverbs. There's a proverb that says, for as a man thinks in his heart, so is he. And another one, Proverbs 4:23, it says, be careful about what you think about. Your thoughts run your life. I'm going to say that again. Be careful about what you think. Your thoughts run your life. So, at first I was like, okay, like I said, I'm listening. I'm open to, then maybe, when you're first learning about this information, you think, how can my thoughts really progress into something? How can they become my destiny? How can they become my life? They're just thoughts. There is no way that a minor thought about, I really have the worst figure. I really have the worst legs. I hate my legs. There is just no way. How can that become my reality? So anyway, I bet you can relate to this though. Let's explore this for a second. So I wrote down a few examples. Maybe you've thought something and then you started speaking about it. For example, think about how many times you've you've thought about something and then you had to verbally share your opinion because those opinions first came from a thought, right? They came from what you were thinking about, what you were meditating on, going over or chewing over in your mind. And so you thought, I have to tell people my opinion on this. Okay, or how many times have your words got you into hot water? I know personally that I've spoken too quickly sometimes. And so before you spoke, those words were thoughts. They were thoughts in your head. Maybe someone gave you some information. Maybe you watched the news. Maybe you heard something on the radio. Maybe you even read books, like romantic books about how husbands should be. And so, you started thinking about, well, my husband doesn't do that. And then you started verbalizing to him what you were thinking about, and it all came from information, right? So it started in your mind and trickled out into words, okay? So, maybe for you, it hasn't happened like that, but maybe it's happened like this for me. You've spoken a lot about your past experiences. Maybe you have had a really traumatic past. You might have experienced something when you were a child or when you were a teenager, maybe when you're an adult. And though that pain keeps, it's weighing on your heart and you're thinking about it all the time. And then when any opportunity comes up, you have to talk about it. I know this is true for myself. And even when I met my husband, Mark, way back 10, 12 years ago, when I first met him, I had experienced some pain before I met him. So I had experienced some trauma before I met him as a person. And so when I used to have conversations with him, he picked up in my conversation, you talk a lot about your pain. You talk a lot about your trauma, or you joke a lot. you just always sarcastic, or you're talking and you're talking about things that have upset you, and then you get upset really easy. So he could notice things were on the surface because they were the first thing the thing that was at the forefront of my mind all the time. And so, it could be the same with you. You have experienced trauma in your past. And so any opportunity for you to talk about it or even be sarcastic, it doesn't even have to be anywhere related to what the trauma was. But because it's just under the surface, or because those toxic thoughts are still roaming around in your mind, or those painful moments are still roaming around in your thoughts, then the first opportunity you have, you'll talk about them, right? Is anyone relating to what I'm saying? So yeah, he said, you talk a lot about your pain, and he gave me a really, really good example of what I was doing. And I hope this helps you as well. He said, have you ever seen vultures? The birds? I think he used the word vultures. I think he used the example of vultures or ravens. No, I think it was vultures. And he said, vultures, they find dead things. That's what they eat. So they'll be flying and they're roaming and looking for things that are already dead, and they go to eat them and they dig them up, and that's what they feed on. He said, so you're almost like a vulture. You keep trying to find in the conversation, you find the dead thing, you find the thing that was the painful thing in the conversation. And I didn't realize, but I was doing that. I really was doing that. So, so I'm sure in a way you might be able to relate to that. So when we, focus on those things constantly, you can see now why your thoughts become your words become your actions, and then your actions become your reality or your destiny. If I use myself as an example again, when I was processing my trauma, I would love to drink to numb the pain. So I would drink alcohol all the time. Well, whenever I felt any sort of anxiety, or almost like I felt unsafe, like the thoughts were coming back, or the situation was coming back, or anything like that, I felt unsafe, or that I would go straight to drinking, or I would be sarcastic. So, I'd easily joke, I'd make fun of people. I'd muck around about anything, just to, try and ignore the thoughts that the horrible, painful thoughts that were going on in my mind. The good news is I don't drink at all anymore. And so if you are someone that really wants to break free from your pain, let me be the first to tell you that it is possible, because I no longer drink, and I'm only a joker, or I'm only sarcastic when I want to be funny now. It's not a defense mechanism. It's not I'm not putting up walls anymore, which is so cool. So I want to encourage you. You can break free from it. So anyway, so how do we do this? Well, our mind, as I said at the start, is really powerful. And so we have to start looking at what we're thinking about, and being intentional about how we're going to move forward. Because if you're thinking negative all the time now, you don't want those negative thoughts to take you into a negative future or a negative reality. So what do we do? How do we do this? The first thing is to start with a morning routine. Because if I use my example a third time, I used to love sleeping in, and I couldn't identify myself as someone who would get up early and love the crack of dawn. I would love to sleep in, stay in a warm bed and sleep in as long as I could. But I've realized that you have to set your intentions for the day. You really, really need to set your intentions, because when you first get out of bed in the morning, your thoughts will resort naturally to what happened yesterday. They will resort to what happened in the conversations you had yesterday. They'll go back to what happened 10 years ago. Something might trigger you. You might turn on the news, or you might open social media, which is a common one. We all open social media, and you want to open social media. Sometimes like, oh, what's happening now? But that you could be scrolling and not thinking it's going to affect you in any way. And then all of a sudden you see that person that hurt you, or you see that person that upset you, and all of a sudden your thoughts have been triggered. And so you've set your entire day off on the wrong foot. You've started on the wrong foot because you're starting to think about now what they did, what they said. So you have to block everything and be intentional about your morning. When you wake up, you have to make that decision that you're going to focus on the thoughts that you want to think about. Focus on where you'd like to go for the day. All right. So, number one is you're going to wake up early. And when I say early, it doesn't have to be 4 a.m. It could be 5:30. It could be 5:45. Maybe your kids wake up at 7 a.m. I'm speaking from experience with me. My children wake up at 5:30, 6 o'clock. So they're pretty early wakers. I'm lucky that they kind of sneak out and get the Nintendo or something. But it's still early. And so if I'm going to be up before them, if I want to be intentional about creating my own time and focusing on my own goals, then I actually have to be up around 5 or 5:30 just so I can get that first half an hour in on my own. Okay, so you want to try and get up early, no one around, not even your partner, it's just you. It's just you. And then you can actually just have that moment to focus, brand new day. Okay, number 2 is, so you've woken up early. Number 2 is to meditate, to imagine, or to reflect. I like to use the word imagine when I first explain this to clients, because imagining is it's what we think that kids do. But really, imagining is actually imagining where you want to go in your life. So often we just go from day to day. We go through the motions. We go through what's coming up, what's the next party, when's the next wedding on, what do I wear this weekend, where are we going, where are we going for dinner? Like, it's all momentary things. But have you ever imagined where you would like to be in even a year? Or have you even imagined what you want for your life? Have you sat and just imagined? Because so much comes out of imagining. So many exciting things come out of imagining. And you might be someone who feels depressed or anxious, but yet you've never taken time to imagine. You've only just, you're constantly replaying negative experiences. And so that's why you might feel like nothing's exciting. I'm always anxious. I'm always worried, because you're just focusing on all those negative things. But when you imagine, you put aside, you actually just, ignore those negative thoughts for a moment, and you consciously or intentionally focus on what you want. What do you want? If I was your coach and I said, I could grant any wish right now, what would you like? What do you want? Do you know how to answer that question? Do you know how to answer, except I know you might say, oh yes, give me $10 million. But besides that, yes, that's possible. But besides the money, do you know exactly what type of house, where you want to live, what type of body do you want, what type of marriage do you want, how many kids do you want, what business are you running, what does your life look like, where are you in your company, all of those things. Have you taken time to actually imagine? Because once you imagine it, it becomes possible. All right, the third thing is to write down or journal your affirmations and what you believe about yourself. So say, for example, in the step before, you imagined that you wanted to be 10 kilos lighter. You could see yourself at the size of 60 kilos and you thought, yep, I love that feeling. I can see myself, on vacation, or I can see myself in a nice dress, and it's such a lovely feeling having that weight off me. Okay? So you can see yourself, you can visualize yourself there. Now you have to start claiming that as you. You have to decide, this is who I am, this is who I'm going to be, and you have to start transforming your mindset and believing that. So as you go throughout your day, for example, and you catch yourself in the reflection of the window and you see yourself still 10 kilos overweight, you still don't like the rolls around your stomach, what you're going to do is, after you've written these affirmations in the morning, say it's just 3 affirmations, like, I am beautiful, healthy, and fit. That's one affirmation, right? So when you catch yourself in the mirror or in the reflection, instead of going, oh, there she is, I hate those rolls, I hate you, I don't like that, you're going to stop and rewire your mind. Rewire it. You're going to actually stop the negative thought, and you're going to rewire the thought in, the new thought in. Now, that brings me to a topic of renewing the mind. There is a term in neuroscience where the word is called neuroplasticity. I'm going to read it out for you, explain what neuroplasticity is. You might have already heard of it, but let me read it out. So neuroplasticity, also known as neural plasticity or brain plasticity, is the ability of neural networks in the brain to change through growth and reorganization. It is when the brain is rewired to function in some way that differs from how it previously functioned, which means the thought patterns built into your mind can be changed. Did you hear that? That is really, really cool. Because like if you've built these thought patterns into your mind, like that maybe you're anxious about going out in social circumstances. Maybe you're really anxious. Maybe something happened to you and you're so anxious to leave the house, or whatever it might be. That is a thought pattern. That is a thought pattern that came from an experience. So you've wired in, not intentionally, but you've wired in these anxieties into your mind, into the thought patterns into your brain. Neuroplasticity is a real tool that you can use to wire out those thoughts and wire in good thoughts. So maybe, let me use my example again. Maybe for me, I wired in all these negative thoughts because I experienced something really like a loss. And so I wired in anxiety about what's going to happen next? What's going to happen? Always looking over my shoulder, right? But I learned and I did accomplish wiring that back out so that I could live the life that I really want to live. So now I live free from those thoughts when they try to tap me on the shoulder again, try to make me feel anxious again. I can actually wire them back out. I can get rid of them very quickly because I recognize you, and I know the habits or the tool just to get rid of them again, which is you choose to focus on those good thoughts that you decided in the morning. Okay, so in the morning, like I said, you write down your affirmations. Maybe you've written down 3. I'm healthy, I'm fit, I'm beautiful, right? And what you do is whenever those negative thoughts come up in the day, now let me just say this is really surface level tools that I'm giving you right now. There's I know firsthand when you've experienced a traumatic situation or you have anxiety that it goes a lot deeper than just do this, have it, and you'll be right. You'll be right, mate. Okay, so no, I get that you can't just do that, and you do sometimes need to see a counselor and work through it, process what's happened, talk about it. I get all that. But what I'm giving you is an actual day-to-day tool that you can use. And when I first heard of this, I was like, yeah, is that really going to work? 100% it works. So let's just recap what I just said, because I said a lot. So what you do is you will wake up early, so you have your time on your own. Then I want you to imagine where you want to go, or meditate and think about who you want to be, where you want to go, what you want in your life. And the third thing is to journal and write down, affirm what you've just imagined. So even write down what you see, write down what you imagined, write down you seen yourself with a big, beautiful house, and maybe you had 2 or 3 or 5 kids, or maybe you had 3 dogs, or whatever it was. Write it down, and then write down, I am what you actually want. So say, for example, you seen yourself as a mum. Write down, I am a beautiful, healthy, happy mum, right? Write it down. And then what you're going to do is throughout the day, you're going to start training your mind. Every single time that a thought comes in, oh, you'll never be a mum. You'll never be a mum. You have to stop the negative thought and you have to rewire back in. No, I am a beautiful, healthy, happy mum. And you start to decide who you're going to be. You are intentionally choosing. And what happens is you need to realize is that you are building something from a seed. You are building something. Right now, you've just written down you want to be a mum. But you actually have to water that every day consciously now for the next, few weeks, maybe a few months, okay? Before you start to believe, I don't think like that anymore. You'll turn around. I think it took me maybe 6 months, maybe a year. And I turned around one day and thought, my mindset is so different than what it was a year ago. And it was just not that I did this every day. I wasn't that disciplined. But I did choose to do this regularly, just to wire in who I want to be. Okay, so you're going to do that every day. When the thoughts come up, when the negative thoughts come up, you're going to wire in the good thoughts. So it is possible to wire out negative, thoughts and maybe a track record of negative experiences and wire in things that you want into your thoughts so that you don't speak about negative things anymore. You start speaking about where you're going, who you're going to be, and that will actually put your mental focus on those things. So let me give you an example. If you start saying to yourself, I'm a healthy, fit mum, and then over the course of 3 months, you've continued saying that. Imagine what you're going to be saying in 3 months. You'll start to believe, okay, well, how am I going to make this happen? Do I have a partner, or what would I need to do to meet someone? What would I need to do, to become that? So, you can see how if you are so focused on that constantly for a good few weeks, a good few months, that you will start to action what you're saying about yourself. How often we do it in the reverse. You feel a tiny little like pain in your throat and you're like, the thought comes, I think I'm getting sick. And so before you know it, you've walked yourself to the chemist to buy some throat lollies. And you don't even know if you're sick. You just assumed by your thoughts that you were. So you walked with action to the chemist and got yourself. We do it in the reverse all the time. So now, from today onwards, if you want that healthy life, and I'm speaking to myself as well, because I need the reminders as well to do this. So if you want that, let's make a decision together that this is who we're going to be. This is what we're going to act like in the morning, okay? And this small discipline is so worth it. Let me tell you, remind you again, I got free of my anxiety, my pain, my fear. It tries to come back, but it doesn't win ever. It doesn't win because you can overcome it, okay? You can build thought patterns that are so strong, they override those negative ones that try and come back, okay? So I hope this has helped you. I've enjoyed talking with you, and this is your coach, Rachel. Thank you for joining me. I hope to see you in the next podcast. Have a wonderful day. Bye.